Jai Srila Prabhupada, Hare Krishna Nama Prabhu ki Jai. I'm very happy to receive many messages from different devotees who have started many of them had a very good experience of holding their attention for their 16 rounds. It may be very surprising that some problem that has been there for so many years, how just by this one thing it got solved? That's exactly what I said, that this is a very, very significant, those 4 quotes of Prabhupada are golden quotes of Japa, mindful Japa. Then you can make it into soulful Japa. But to hold the mind, this is something which is very, very crucial. Today we will discuss a few points that will make it more clear to you that this Shakti or this taste, without taste it won't be there. Attention won't be held there. This taste, what this taste is, we will discuss. Number 1. And then why this taste goes away after some time, that also we will discuss. And third, how to ensure that this taste persists in all our japa. Without attention, without having some taste, it would not be there. So therefore, we'll discuss first what that taste is. We'll go back to the gardener story. In the course of this, I will answer some questions that have been put also by some devotees yesterday. Someone asked this question, what happened to the gardener afterwards? Did he continue rest of his life chanting 16 rounds? I came away from the farm and that's it. He did not chant again. Okay. Now, even if I had stayed there, let us say 1 month I had stayed there, I will tell you what would have happened to his chanting. His chanting he would not have had the same experience after some time. Why is it so? Now is a crucial point I am mentioning in my analysis. The chanting and the linked hearing. Chanting and hearing that chant, in the case of the gardener, in those 8 days, happened because of a reason. What is that reason? The mantra was new to him and the process was new to him. For this reason, his attention was held on to the chanting. Just see. What would happen to the newness of the mantra after some time? Yeah, it automatically he would have by-hearted the mantra, and it will not. He does not need to give any attention to see when is the beginning of the mantra, when is the end of the mantra. So its attention will go away because he has learnt the mantra. Apart from that, in terms of doing, this also becomes very mechanical. Lifting one stone, keeping here, chanting, then again keeping. That also becomes mechanical. Why? The mind learns. Because you're repeating that activity every day. The mind learns. So first 1 week, his experience of that empowerment that made a person chant 16 rounds, to keep the attention held like that for a whole day for a person, that power did not come from his mind. It came because he connected his chanting as a doing and linked that to the knowing of the same mantra. So because of the concurrent chanting and hearing, there is the release of a delight, a micro delight. It's a delight of concentration, concentrating on the Shakti Eva Shanama. We all recall Shakti Eva Shanama is an omnipotent sound. So moment we are chanting the sound and hearing that very sound, we are fully connected to the sound, and immediately there is a delight in that, which we don't experience very consciously like that, but our mind tastes it. That is why even a new person sustained 2-3 hours of that activity. Why did he sustain? Otherwise he would have got bored. Same way, after I discovered these quotes of Srila Prabhupada, and this discovery was such a significant discovery for me that it stayed in my background. You should chant and hear that very sound. Very deeply it impressed and stayed in the background. That day, 3rd day of my chanting. And that background direction and determination, how to link chanting and hearing that chant, made me connect both together. And therefore, there was a delight. Mantra after mantra, there was a delight. And it was adding up. It was not tiring. There is energy that was coming from Shakti Aveshanama. And that energy had become bead after bead, it was adding up, and anything tasty becomes addictive. As I said, just the previous day I was waiting when I can keep my mala down. And the 3rd day, when I finished my 108 rounds, I didn't want to stop. My tongue didn't want to stop because the mind was tasting. The mind was tasting the energy from the Shakti Aveshanama, and that comes only if we are connected to the holy name through the chanting and hearing or doing and knowing that doing. Japa, chanting is a doing, and hearing that very sound, he becomes knowing that doing. So it was one activity. Doing, knowing, doing, knowing, doing, knowing is one activity. There are no two kinds of doings there. So that is why, in spite of somebody has asked a question, no, just because you are 30 years you have been chanting, that is why one day you read this quote and next day you could do it. No, suddenly it is not possible because of that. There is a phenomena that has happened here. That is what I am trying to impress upon. Not after 30 years, after 100 years also, you go on chanting disconnected, your attention will be scattered. If you don't connect, if you don't chant and hear that very chant, it will make no difference. Whereas even a bhakta, he gets this secret. He will experience this relish to do his 16 rounds. In fact, so let me come back to the gardener. I told you gardener will not sustain because the newness of the mantra and the newness of the process was the cause for linking up. Once the newness goes away, the linking goes away, his attention connection goes away, that taste he cannot sustain. All of us also, when he told us chant 16 rounds, mantra was quite new, or even 2-3 rounds. Mantra was quite new. Even 1 round somebody told you to chant, you started. Actually, we felt good because the mantra was new and the process is new. Your attention was fully there because of concentration. Because attention really means doing and knowing attention together. Doing and knowing attention together. That is the meaning of attention. And because of that newness, when I chanted the first 108 beats in my life, there was a taste from Shakti Aveshanama. So much so that next time when the devotee told, why don't you increase it to 4 rounds? Immediately we started. So we loved going from 1 round to 4 rounds to 8 rounds to 16 rounds. In fact, people who went from 1 round to 16 rounds are the most successful because they are still not trained fully. Now, why don't you chant 16 rounds? They got so much rasa. The mind got so much. See, it's something. It's a spiritual energy that comes into our mind from the Shakti Aveshanama. That delight, that subtle delight, we would want to do more and more and more. But after the newness was over, then what happened? There was that newness factor was not there to hold my attention on doing attention and knowing attention together on the same sound. It vanished. All my problems began. Inattentive chanting. Now, what is the solution for this? Is there a solution? Goal is what? We should chant and hear that very chant. That is a goal. The gardener did this because of newness. Is there any other way to ensure that this linked chanting happens? As long as the linked chanting, linking the chanting with hearing, linking the doing with knowing the doing, as long as the linking happens, then my attention is locked. Obviously, we cannot rely on the newness forever because mind will learn anything after 1 month. It will learn. The newness is gone. What is this? What is this new thing that will make us still keep them linked? As long as you keep them linked, your chanting will be as easy as the first day. That is what this training is doing. Our background mind should link. Our background mind can give direction to the foreground mind, and that can be trained. If you train the mind how to do something, the direction to do that comes from the background mind. So any time you do chanting, immediately chanting plus knowing, your background mind is trained. Please understand, we have to take help of now. If you want in the foreground mind, if you want, we want that energy in the during japa that holds our concentration. It has to be linked. Chanting and hearing has to be linked. Now, chanting and hearing can be linked by the background mind. Background mind also carries direction and inspiration. For anything you do in life, it is your background mind that is giving you direction. Suppose I want to come out and go to the airport. It is the direction to go to the airport is in the background mind. I may walk, I may take steps, I may take a cab, and all those things I may do. But it is all coming from the background mind. So we have to take advantage of this and train our background mind. The chanting means it is a doing, and hearing means it's a knowing. And therefore, I should chant and know that very sound. And also we have to teach our mind, we have to unteach our mind. Hearing is not a doing. Hearing is just knowing. It is not a doing. So in this way, by setting up that trained mind, later on when during Soulful Japa also, once you train, you can go on adding other ingredients in the background. Background can have so many ingredients. I told you, Japa is like an orchestra. So many things you can add. So once you trained, one layer of the mind has trained now. How to distinctly chant and hear that very chant, sharply hear that very sound. It learns. So the first training module, now I have given for 4 weeks. It is to, I made it into each week the last quote of Prabhupada where he says, practice it. You will see how you will spiritually advance. Now that is an inspiration for us. That is why we should remember that before each mala. Practice it and you will see how you will spiritually advance. And then there are 4 quotes, golden quotes. The 4 golden quotes I have put for each week. They're all same. Actually, even if you take one and do it for 4 weeks also is okay. But just for variety. You have got 4 weeks. You have got quotes. For that, for each week you got a quote. You commit into your short-term memory by just recalling. Anyway, when you read 3 times, it has to stay there only for 108 beats. That's all. Again, next mala, again you tell, and then again it goes. So it's very easy to keep something in the background by telling, by speaking out, by reading, and in the background mind. It goes in the background mind. And being in the background mind, one mala you do, following that direction. When you do that mala following that direction, it's a foreground activity which is learning how to take direction from the background mind and execute it. In this way, our chanting and hearing that chant becomes an habit. Wonderful experiences devotees have had. Some of them are as per your guidance today morning, I had a wonderful chanting experience. Very blissful. Daily I walk and chant in the temple hall. Since I have to sit in front of printout, I was concerned. What will others think? Because I may be alone, I may be the only one to follow the new method. So I preferred an office space in the temple area for chanting. I started my chanting with Guru Pranam mantra, Panchatattva mantra, and the 3 quotes for 3 times. took 3 minutes every time. Then chanting 108 beats took 7 minutes each. After initial 2 rounds, the chanting was very smooth. I could see that as soon as I chant, my mind is ready to receive the holy name. Simply bliss, very smooth chanting. Sleep didn't disturb me. I was attentive. There were a few thoughts, but almost no thinking. Printout was very effective. So, it is that is one. Also, there are others who have even day first yesterday. Also, there was some few others on the Telegram. I have got very good responses. The point is, please believe that it works. If you're still not started, it works. Try it out. It works. And I have given you enough reasons why it works. So that the principle you understand, and what we are trying through the practice also you understand. There is definitely an energy which is beyond our mind that comes into our mind. Too much details I cannot say. I do not know. Proof of the pudding is in the eating. Chant like this and see. You will see that you want to go on and on and on and on chanting. The only thing I can say is, because it is basically offenseless chanting, there is a flow of energy from the Lord which gives us a strength to sustain the chanting, gives us the taste to sustain the chanting, doesn't make our mind fatigued. So I hope by now you understand, why the gardener could not have sustained. Otherwise, it is as simple as that. Any new person can chant only for 10, maximum 1 month. After that, he's chanting. It's determined. Prabhupada has told to chant. Devotees tell me to chant. You'll somehow chant, but due to philosophy of Krishna consciousness and all those things, you're interested in the overall Krishna consciousness. I had to follow Prabhupada order to daily chant 16 rounds. Because of all that, you may continue an inattentive chanting, partly attentive, partly inattentive. Some people understand, they think I should hear also. And yesterday I explained to you, if your background mind says, hear, then you will only hear. It is not a link chanting. If your background mind says, no, chant attentively, then you will not hear. What should your background mind say? Nothing. Chant and hear that very chant. And then, because of that, beyond the factor of newness, even though factor of newness is disappeared, we'll still be able to maintain the taste. Any new activity, for some days it will be, that freshness will be there. Auto doing, it automatically your entire body will be doing. That is the body mindless japa. Anything you repeat, the body learns. But after learning, there should be some, taste. If it is not tasteful, you will not sustain that activity. Just like every day, let us say if you are a South Indian, every day you take rice. Same activity, same thing, but still your attention will be there because of the taste. Suppose taste is not there, then you will get bored. So that means taste is coming in this kind of a linked chanting, hearing the chant, there is a taste coming from Shakti Avishanama. This you should trust. You should have faith. Because without that, you are seeing that you get tired, your mind gets tired. With this, I am finding energy. So where did it come from? So in one sense, you cannot do attentive chanting without receiving mercy, without receiving that energy to hold the attention from the Nama Prabhu himself. And by following this instruction of Prabhupada, these golden quotes of Japa connects us to the Nama Prabhu. Once it connects to Nama Prabhu, once you're connected, once you do mindful Japa, your problem is solved, because mindful means you are getting connected. Then all other things, soulful Japa and all, you will get guidance, how to develop it. You will get all the realizations from that. So everything sounds very simple. And of course, another obstacle to this practice is some other kind of direction which is there in my mind, background mind, which I have been doing since long time. So suddenly that direction will take over in directing the foreground activity. For a fresh devotee, very easy to train his mind, and he won't do any more inattentive chanting. Suppose 30 years you have done in a wrong way. You have done a thinking japa. Then your mind will go towards it. But mind will run away from. The mind will always go for inattentive chanting unless you begin. You get impressed with this quote of Prabhupada, this secret that is given here, and you apply it. So these 4 quotes should strike you. That is the reason why, with the example, with the story of the gardener I have given, it should strike you that can this solve all the problem? Yes, it can solve all the japa problems. We will be gradually, of course, I have already posted modules on delight and all those things. But because people were getting too much in, long time, so many modules, theory, they wanted something, they want to change their chanting. That is why in between I have started straight away. That's why even though we have gone up to module 13, for the practice sake, you jump to module 34, read, and 35 you start practicing what I have told in 35. Next 36, 37, 38, few more enlightening things about this chanting and hearing that very chant. More examples that will strengthen your entire idea of what is concentration. So you know what you're doing. Or you know what you should be doing. So it is not that I'll answer some of the questions connected to this. I have selected. Forcefully bring back mind for hearing. It's fatigued and will not allow me to hold attention. How to get rid of this mental fatigue? You mentioned similar fatigue in farm example. Exactly. I have already explained to you. By now it must be very clear to you. That fatigue was because the one side doing attention is going, another side, there is another thing that is pulling us doing something else. I want to do thinking, and here I want to do chanting. Because I have to complete my rounds, I have to do it. Other side, some other thinking is there. So I have to bring this, each time I have to bring this and chant. And again it will go there. So it is anything which is unpleasant brings mental fatigue. Please understand. There is, when you chant and hear the same mantra, same word, simultaneously or concurrently, there is a pleasantness. It is coming from the Nama. You want to discover, you discover it. It's coming from the Nama. There is a pleasantness and a delightful feeling that very subtly it comes. But you can feel it not for each bead. You will feel that your mind wants next bead. Because I give you one chocolate, if it is tasty, if I give you, you'll look for one more. I give you one more. I give you one more. You want more and more. This is exactly what is happening. Once you do concurrent chanting and hearing on one bead, there is a micro delight. You want to jump into the next bead. You want one more. You want one more. And it keeps building up. And you don't want to stop. So these are all very mystical things. You cannot see, you cannot analyze where that energy has come from. But we know in the descending process that Nama has given that energy. That is how Haridas Thakur, how he could chant 300,000 names every day. Even tongue will get tired, no? No. The energy was coming from the Nama. Nama enables one to chant. That is what Prabhupada says, the holy name dancing on our tongue. Not that you make the energy to dance. Our tongue, at one point of time, the energy is supplied. Very easily and smoothly the tongue is moving. These are some of the conclusions, inevitable conclusion that comes from the kind of energy that comes to hold the attention on the chanting. And these golden quotes, they are the big secret. In fact, that is why there are quotes where Prabhupada says, somebody asks Prabhupada, should we think of Krishna's pastimes when we are chanting? Try to remember Krishna's pastimes. No, Prabhupada says, simply chant and hear. That's all. In these quotes also we said, nothing more. There's a reason for all these things. If our attention is coming from the soul, if our attention is filled with only sound Nama Avatara for 2 hours, it's a super liberating experience. But we don't get that experience because the mind goes here and there. That means, one chant, Krishna is in your consciousness. Next chant, something else is in your consciousness. If you keep Krishna in your consciousness for 2 hours, and how is it possible for 2 hours? Unless Nama gives strength, it is not possible. And when does Nama give strength? When you stop this inattentive offense of being inattentive. And how can you stop this offense of being inattentive? By knowing what is attentive chanting. This is the biggest problem. We do not know what is attentive chanting. That is what I discovered from the quotes of Prabhupada. Prabhupada says, this is attention. This is attention, he says. Regarding training module, what is the difference between doing effort and doing attention? We have to chant distinctly, that is doing. That's how I understood. Yeah, you have to chant distinctly. See, you have to do chesta. When you chant distinctly, when you do chesta to chant distinctly, doing attention is coming into that sense on the tongue. Doing attention into that activity. When you have a chesta to know, that means doing effort. Effort is something in the heart, out of your free will. Doing effort, Hare Krishna. You want to call out to the name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. You call out. When you call out, because it is a karma indriya activity, doing attention will come. Unless it is auto calling. Then auto chanting is not calling. So you call. And then you call and you hear that very sound. Hearing is a knowing. Knowing requires a jnana indriya. And to move any jnana indriya, automatically it will draw from the From our soul it will draw what? Knowing attention. So knowing effort, that means jnana chesta, generates knowing attention. Kriya chesta draws doing attention. Hope you also mentioned that we hear thrice the quotes of Prabhupada before each round. Does it mean we have to read these quotes before every round? Yes, please read those quotes before. Now I have given you now particular one main quote and one inspirational quote. Practice it and you will see the result. Prabhupada is saying. So we are repeating Prabhupada's word. Prabhupada says anything you want to learn, you repeat it many times. So now you want to teach your background mind to learn. The background mind has to learn how to direct the foreground mind every time you take your Japamala. That you should chant and hear that very chant. You will find miracles happening. Mind will, whatever you teach the mind, it will happen. And if you are able to keep chant and hear that very chant, then the Nama Prabhu will supply the energy. Shakti Avasya Nama will infuse energy into us for us. That addictive energy it becomes. You want to do more like that. You're so smoothly your 108 rounds would go. It is not a energy that you can describe, or it is not a thing that you can say that, oh, I felt like this and I felt like this. Forget it. You felt continuously doing again and again and again and again. You became addicted to doing it again and again. That is the experience. In Gardner's incident, you mentioned that he happily completed 16 rounds, but could also be because he ought to do whatever is ordered, that as an employee. How do we take our 16 rounds of chanting as most important duty? No, there was no threat. He was playing and very silly, he was thinking it is a silly work. And there was no question of compulsion in him. Of course, he was thinking that I put a challenge. In fact, I put it as a challenger. I don't know, can you do it? I asked him. Why? I can do it. It's just, what kind of work you are giving, Swami? It's such a simple thing. I can do it. Like that, I put it as a challenge to him. It's not that I ordered him. And I went away into my room after 2 rounds. On his own, how can a new person be self-directed? To do such a work, it's a big tapasya. If that newness was not there and he was not connecting, that factor was not there, he could not have sustained this chanting. Not possible. 16 rounds he could not have done. That is the reason why I am saying, after a month, he learns the mantra, he learns mechanically how to move the stone, his attention will go away, that taste he will not get. Then if you tell him also, please chant, I'll do. What happened? Why you stopped? I stopped. He himself doesn't know why he stopped, because he is not getting the taste. That it got delinked. So, 6 months is possible. Now you understand why I was always saying 6 months. To begin mindful japa, 6 months in a. Now I have given you 12 weeks. You can do 2 rounds and consolidate this. And I will make it a little more interesting. That's why I just given for 4 weeks. Then we will start incorporating along with this certain things about background also. Because anyway you are doing one item of background also we will introduce. But the basic thing is this. Without mindful japa, there is no soulful japa. Hare Krishna chanting, is there chanting in 3 modes of material nature? Yeah, see, 3 modes is about our consciousness. So you can be in whatever modes you are and you can chant. And that will be your quality of chanting. In Tamoguna you chant, your background mind is in Tamoguna. Then your foreground activity will have that kind of a quality. If you are in Rajoguna, it will have that kind of quality. If you are Sattoguna, we are trying to, why we are hearing all this knowledge and who is Krishna, means what is Krishna, Krishna's Nama, what is Shakti Avasya Nama, what is Nama Prabhu, all these things. Why? This is, we want to bring our background mind in full knowledge. transcendental knowledge. So sattvic, that is why it's called Sad-Bhavana Japa. Sad-Bhavana Japa, soulful Japa is Sad-Bhavana. Initial days I had attention, but now that level of attention I felt it's missing. Here you got the, now you understand. I have given the analysis. Initial days what happened, afterwards what happened. Don't worry, initial days are over. Now what that newness has to be replaced by a trained mind in the background which will do the connection. Out of forced circumstances, you are connecting both, chanting and hearing the chant. Now, that newness is gone. You need to create your background mind, a directing mind, which will connect these two. And then as long as connection is maintained, you will feel the same thing. Your attention will stay on the holy name. How to reach the 16 rounds starting from one round? You can immediately go to 16 rounds. If chant one round according to the way I am saying, you will want to chant 2 rounds, 3 rounds, 4 rounds, 5 rounds. You will want to chant on your own. You would want to increase it. The gardener was a simple man, so he easily began chanting. We preach to educated people who are not as simple to convince. How do we get educated people to start chanting? Educated people don't do any simple things. They don't simply eat like eating. Do they eat in a complicated manner? Ultimately, they eat like everybody. So educated doesn't mean you have to become complicated. You can appeal to them that there are simple things which are most valuable. Most valuable does not always mean most complicated. Even a child can do, Prabhupada said, but it gets the most valuable result connecting with the Namavatara. Isn't it? The result is simple. The process is so simple. The result is so high. So that is one thing. So simple, even if, okay, let's say he's educated. If he's educated, good. Tell him what is Namavatara. Tell him he is a ocean of Satchidananda. Inspire him. You are getting in touch with Satchidananda. You will experience these energies coming into you. And you have to preach Krishna consciousness. Birth, death, old age, disease, you have to expose the false life that everybody is living in this material world. False life which is contrary to his deepest instincts for Sattva, Chitta and Ananda. Exactly opposite he gets in the material world. You please chant Hare Krishna and then you will find this. And the process is very simple. What is happening you cannot figure out. It may be very complicated. How Namavatara is changing our consciousness. Maybe we not to go, just like you do not know how the food that you eat, what it gets digested, becomes protein, when, all those things, nothing you can figure out. You only feel the result. What is that? I eat the food, I feel energetic. In the same way, it is very simple. Administering this medicine, Nama, Harinama. Chant and hear that very chant. Is the gardener still chanting 16 rounds? No, as I told you, I left. I came away and then he would have stopped chanting this 16 rounds. So, in conclusion, newness of the process, newness of the mantra is not the only way to keep the chanting and hearing that very chant on the same sound. That's not the only way. But fortunately, when somebody starts, that is the way and he will enjoy. Means at least he will not feel fatigued. he will chant. And that gives him a sense of success. I did 1 round, 4 round, all those things easily. From day one, if it was struggling, nobody would have begun chanting. So newness is not the only way. What is the other way? Very important to understand, because you have to feel hope. And hope comes from these 4 golden quotes of Prabhupada. These golden quotes are about direction to chant. They are direction to be followed. You should feel those 4 quotes. That's why I said repeatedly read it. There are certain words you have to feel stressed exactly what you should do. So the way I have written it is to feel that quote. That quote is a direct turn. That quote should turn into a directional feeling in your background. Like a Prabhupada style. That's why I said, do it with the spirit of obedient child. Don't think too much. Prabhupada has told me to do this. Let me just do it. So another question has come that, can we simply take that Prabhupada has told us and we execute that just like this gardener executed? Exactly. If you are that simple-minded and remember Prabhupada's direction, specifically this direction, these 4 directions, because generally Prabhupada says chant, chant, chant. Now you become a devotee, then you want to go seriously. See, Prabhupada has given clear instruction how to chant. Follow those instructions. Train your mind to follow this instruction. You don't have to struggle. I told you, 3 months, 4 months, it will learn. Any time you chant, you will hear that chant. You will not chant without hearing that chant. Your mind gets trained to do that, to connect. But the energy comes from the Nama. So therefore, bead after bead, bead after every bead is like a chocolate. I'm just giving you an example. It's tasty. Very subtle taste it is. Mind taste. It's called mind taste. There's energy. See, when there energy comes, you feel good. Isn't it? Even energy gives a taste. Why do people drink coffee, tea? It gives them little energy. They become energetic. So in the same way, you cannot say same way, there is an input of energy coming from the Shakti Aveshanama. So pray to Shakti Aveshanama to give you the taste for uninterrupted Japa. Uninterrupted Japa. No thinking, no need to think of philosophy, nothing. Not required. And Krishna has come in the form of sound. Kalikale, Nama Rupe, Krishna Avatara. So your attention is touching the Nama. You establish your attention connection and attention touch. Miracles will happen. If on a sustained connection, day after day, day after day, day after day. Okay, so we will see tomorrow. Meantime, today I'll be posting some more things like what I explained today. Now, few modules I'll be posting 36, 37, 38 to support this training program. Already the principle is there in module 34. But to support this, there are various analogies and by which you again clearly understand that doing and knowing should go together. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Krishna Nama Prabhu ki jai.